Hey everyone, welcome back to another video on Java programming series in 2025. And in this video, we'll be talking about ternary operators. So in our last video, we talked about control flow using if else. We talked about nested if else, and I showed you how to write those statements. So in this video, we will be writing the same thing, similar thing using ternary operator. So ternary operator is usually the equivalent of writing if else, and it's usually shorter. And I will show you how to use, when to use, and when not to use. All right, so let's go ahead and start by creating a new Java file, and I'm going to be naming it as ternary operator. All right, so this is where we'll be writing our code. So ternary operator, so it usually has, so when I say this is comment, this is not going to be executed, this is going to be ignored, single line comment. So some expression, and then this operator is going to be like a ternary operator, and then some value if true, some value if true, otherwise this colon, and then some value if not true. All right, so this is the syntax of ternary operator, and then here it will be like assignment, and then underscore variable. All right, so let's say if I write it in terms of symbol, so for example a equals to b greater than c. If b is greater than c, b otherwise c, right? So that means if b is greater than c, that means it is true. So assign this b to a. So the value of b is going to be assigned to this a. Otherwise, the value of c is assigned to b, this a. And this is equivalent of. So if b greater than c, a equals b, and then else a equals c, right? So if I had integer a equals 10 and integer, sorry, b and integer c equals to 13 and int a equals 0, all right? So this is the exact same thing that I'm representing with this single line, right? So, and if I print it, this is the single line. So let me run. Since b is less than c, a is going to be 13, right? Because I've assigned 13. So if I write the same thing using ternary operator, so this is going to be pretty simple, right? Let me uncomment these two lines. So if you want to uncomment, you can press Control slash, and that will be a shortcut to uncomment. Otherwise, you have to go manually. You can also select the whole block and then do Control slash, this will uncomment and comment. So this is just a shortcut for IntelliJ, right? So since I have b and c, and I'm also having int a equals, let's say, just int a. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be like checking if b is greater than c. This is going to be like the syntax of ternary operator, this question mark. So what do I mean is if b is greater than c, well, so the b is going to be the result, otherwise c is going to be the result. But I need to assign this to some variable, right? So I've already created a variable and this one. All right, so then now the result of this comparison has been assigned to this a. And if I print io.println, so a equals, now let's say a. All right, so if I run it from here, a is equal to 13, so the exact same thing. So here this statement, this whole statement has been reduced to this single line, and that's the only benefit of using ternary operator. All right, so let's say this is like calculating the max of the two numbers, right? So this is just like calculating the max. So in reality, whenever you want to check something, for example, if username has role admin, right? So for example, I'm going to be creating a string role equals admin, and sometimes I only want to give certain level of permission to user. So for example, I'm going to be saying role dot equals admin. If it is admin, it is going to be true, otherwise false. Since I'm going to be assigning this result to some other variable, for example, it is going to be boolean, right? Because this is either true or false, so it should be boolean. And is an admin. Look how am I naming variable. I've been emphasizing on this as well. So and as out, I'm going to be using as out now, is admin equals to is admin, right? So let me run this. Is admin equals to true, and based on this you can use other if statements or other some logic, right? But if I do, let's say admin, not admin but user, and this is not going to be true, right? This is going to be false. And so there is another example I would like to give. For example, let's say you have not a b c, and now you also have d, for example, and then let's say 20, and you want to find the maximum of three numbers. We can use the ternary operator. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, so how do we find the maximum of three numbers? All right, so we have b, c, and d. If b is greater than c and b is greater than d, right? So if b is greater than both c and d, definitely b is the largest, right? Otherwise, we don't know. It could be like c or d. B is not the largest, right? Otherwise, b greater than c. If b greater than c, it's b. Sorry, b and then c. Okay, so c greater than d. If c is greater than c, otherwise d. Okay, so this is going to be the logic to calculate maximum of three numbers, right? If b is greater than both c and d, b is the maximum. Otherwise, so look at this. I'm also using the same ternary operator. So this is like the nested one. So if C is greater than D, because B is not the largest at this point, C is going to be largest, otherwise D is going to be largest, right? Since now I need to store the result, the return of this result, so I'm going to be saying max equals this one. All right, just ignore this highlight, and as out, max of 3 equals to max. All right, so I just run it, and max of 3 is 20. Okay, so now this max of 3 is 20, right? So if I do the max of 3 should be 13. All right. So, but the one of the disadvantages of using this kind of ternary operator is it is absolutely unreadable and it's really hard to debug. So never introduce such code. If it is like usually at this level, for example, a simple, it can avoid writing, long lines of code. But if you are writing something like this can be really confusing, and writing readable code is more important than writing confusing and hard to debug code, right? So make sure that you only understand these, or maybe use for some coding competition or problem. But when you are writing real code, just write the code that is well understood and easy to maintain and easy to debug. That was pretty much it for this video. So these ternary operators can be really useful for some certain conditions like this one, and I also showed you here. So just try to practice using creating some scenarios, and you will understand everything. So if you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.